Chapter 1. The Mermaid. Every evening, Kenji went out fishing near the coast of Okinawa. He sometimes sold his fish at the Naha market. Sometimes he did not catch many fish and he could not sell them. One evening his net was very heavy. He laughed and said, "Did I catch all the fish in the East China Sea? Or did I catch some kappa? I will give it to the Empress. She will be happy." He pulled and pulled the heavy net. Finally, he pulled the net next to the boat. But there were no fish in it and there was no kappa. There was only a little mermaid. She was asleep. Her hair was black like raven's feathers. Her body was the color of sun. Her tail shimmered like turquoise and coral, and her ears like delicate pink shells. She was very beautiful. Kenji pulled the net closer to the boat. He reached out to her. When he touched her, she gasped. She could not escape, so she began to cry and said, "Please let me go. I am the only daughter of a king of the Andaman Sea. My father is very old and alone." But Kenji answered her, "I will let you go, but you must make me a promise. I will call you, and you will come and sing to me. The fish love the songs of the people of the sea. You will sing, and my nets will be full. I promise." "Please let me go," cried the mermaid. "Yes, I will let you go," said Kenji. So she promised him, and he let her go. She went back into the sea and shivered. She felt a strange fear. Every evening, Kenji went fishing and called the mermaid. She came and sang to him. The manta rays swam round and round her. The albatrosses soared in the sky above her head. She sang a marvelous song of the bee-nips, the water spirits with long brown beards. She sang of the gardens of the sea with their giant kelp forests. Here the fish swim like silver arrows. She sang of the big blue whales from the Southern Ocean and of the lost pearl divers in their boats at the bottom of the sea. She sang of the little children. They ride on the backs of the dolphins and laugh. When she sang, the yellowfin tuna came to listen to her. Kenji then caught many of them. When his boat was full of fish, the mermaid smiled at him and swam away. But she never came near him. When he tried to catch her, she went into the water like a sea snake. Each day her voice became sweeter to his ears. Soon he forgot his nets and listened to her song. He listened to her until the moon rose over Mount Fuji. One evening he called her and said, "Little mermaid, marry me because I love you." But the little mermaid said, "You have a human spirit. Send away your spirit, and then I can love you." Kenji thought, "Why do I need my spirit? I cannot see it. I cannot touch it. I do not know it. Of course I will send it away, and I will be very happy." He stood up in his boat and cried, "I will send my spirit away. You will be my wife, and you will show me all the things you sing about. We will be together forever." The little mermaid laughed because she was very happy. "But how can I send my spirit away?" cried Kenji. "I do not know," said the little mermaid. "The people of the sea have no spirits." Early the next morning, Kenji went to the Shinto priest's house and knocked on his door. The priest looked out of the window and saw Kenji and said, "Come in." Kenji entered and cried to the priest, "Father, I am in love with a mermaid. I cannot marry her because I have a spirit. How can I send my spirit away? I really do not need it. Why is my spirit important? I cannot see it. I cannot touch it. I do not know it." The priest answered, "Are you mad? Amaterasu gave you your spirit. It is very precious. It is as precious as all the jade in the world. So, my son, do not think about this any more. It is a terrible transgression. The people of the sea are lost creatures. They are like the tanuki in the forest. They do not know what is right and wrong. Amaterasu didn't shine for them. Kenji began to cry and said, "Father, the Kodama live in the forest and are happy. The Ningyo sit on the rocks with their shell harps. I want to be like them. Why is my spirit important? I have a spirit, but I cannot have the mermaid, and I love her," he cried. "It is shameful to love your body," cried the priest. "The Kodama of the woods and the Ningyo are unnatural. I hear them at night. They try to distract me from my meditation. They are lost, I tell you, they are lost. There is no Yomi or Takamagahara for them. Away, away," cried the priest. "Your mermaid is lost, and you will be lost with her." Kenji walked sadly to the Naha marketplace. When the merchants saw him, they said, "What do you want to sell?" "I will sell you my spirit," he answered. "Please buy it from me because I am tired of it." "What can I do with a spirit?" "I cannot see it. I cannot touch it. I do not know it." But the merchants laughed at him and said, "What can we do with a spirit? A chipped teacup is more precious. Sell us your labor, and we will give you a lot of rice. But we will not give you anything for your spirit." Kenji thought, "How strange this is." The priest said, "Your spirit is as precious as all the jade in the world. But the merchants say, a chipped teacup is more precious." He went to the beach and began to think. Chapter 2. The Witch, ****. At midday, Kenji remembered that there was a young Miko, a Shinto shamaness. She lived in a cave near the cliffs of Cape Hado, and she was very good at magic. He ran quickly to her. "What do you seek? What do you seek?" she cried when he ran towards her cave. "Do you need fish when the typhoon rages? I have a sacred drum. You beat it and all the fish swim into the bay. But it has a price, young man, it has a price. What do you seek? What do you seek? A tsunami to destroy the ships of the Dutch traders? Do you want their silver? I can help you. I command more storms than Reijin, the god of thunder. My master is stronger than the Oni. But I have a price, young man, I have a price." "I do not want very much," said Kenji, "but the priest is very angry with me, and the merchants laugh at me. So, I came to you, and I will pay you any price." "What do you want?" asked the Miko. "I want to send my spirit away from me," answered Kenji. The Miko's face became pale. Young man," she said, "that is a terrible thing to do." He laughed and answered her, "My spirit is not important to me. I cannot see it. I cannot touch it. I do not know it." "I will tell you, but you must give me something," said the Miko. She looked at him with her dark, intense eyes. 5 koku of rice," he said, "and my nets, and my house, and my boat. But how can I send away my spirit?" She laughed and answered, "I can change the cherry blossoms into snow. I can change the light of the fireflies into gold. My master is richer than all the daimyo of this land." The Miko caressed his hair with her slender hand. "You must dance with me, young man," she said softly, and she smiled at him. "Only this," cried Kenji. "Only this," she answered, and she smiled at him again. "Then we will dance together in a secret place at sunset," he said, "and you will tell me everything. Then I can send away my spirit. When the moon is full, when the moon is full," she said softly. Then she looked around and listened. 3 crows cawed in the distance. There was no other sound. There was only the sound of the waves crashing against the cliffs. So she pulled him closer. She put her lips close to his ear. "Tonight you must come to the top of Mount Yonaha-Duck," she whispered. "It is a special night, and he will be there. "Who is he?" he asked. "It is not important," she answered. "Go tonight and stand under the banyan tree and wait for me. You will see a tanuki, and you must strike it with a bamboo stick. The tanuki will run away. Remember, do not speak to the owl. I will come with the full moon, and we will dance together." "How can I send my spirit away? You must promise to tell me," he said. She came out of the cave into the sun. "I promise," she answered. "You are the most powerful Miko in Okinawa," cried Kenji, and he ran back to the town happily. The Miko went into her cave and burned a bundle of sacred herbs. She looked into the smoke. After some time she said angrily, "He must be mine. I am as beautiful as she is." That evening, when the full moon appeared, Kenji went to the top of Mount Yonohadake. He stood under the banyan tree. A large owl with amber eyes called his name. He did not answer. A tanuki with a mischievous grin ran towards him. He hit it with the bamboo stick and it scampered away. At midnight, the witches were in the sky. They were like giant bats. "Phew," they cried when they landed. "There is someone here and we do not know him." Finally, the young Miko with black hair appeared. She wore a red kimono with embroidered cranes on it, and her little hat was black. "Where is he? Where is he?" asked the witches when they saw her. She laughed and ran to Kenji. She took him by the hand and then they danced in the moonlight. They danced round and round. Then they heard the sound of a galloping horse, but they did not see a horse. "Faster, faster!" she cried, and then Kenji was afraid. Something very powerful was there, and he was afraid of it. There was a man near a rock. He wore elegant heian-era robes. This man watched Kenji constantly. The Miko laughed, and Kenji danced with her round and round. Chapter 3. The Secret. A Shiba Inu barked, and the dancers stopped. They went to the man and bowed deeply before him. "Come. Let's offer prayers to Amaterasu," the Miko said softly. Kenji wanted to do this, and he followed her. But when he came near the man, he whispered the name of Buddha. When he did this, the witches shrieked and vanished into the night. A white horse materialized, and the man mounted it. He looked at Kenji sadly and then disappeared into the mist. The Miko with black hair tried to fly away too, but Kenji grabbed her arm. "Let me go," she cried. "You must not invoke the name of Buddha." "No," he answered, "you are my prisoner. And tell me the secret now." "What secret?" said the Miko. She struggled to free herself. "You know," he answered. She began to cry and said to Kenji, "Ask me anything, but not that." He laughed and refused to release her. She could not escape, and so she said, "I am as beautiful as the mermaids," and she pressed her face close to his. But he pushed her away and said, "I will kill you. You must tell me the secret now." She trembled. "All right," she said. "It is your spirit, not mine." She gave him a small obsidian knife. "Why did you give me this knife?" he asked. She was silent for a moment. She was terrified. Then she said to him, "Our reflection in the water is not the reflection of our bodies. It is the form of our spirits. Stand on the beach with your back to the moon. Cut your reflection from your feet. Then you must tell your spirit to leave and it will leave." Kenji shivered. "Is this true?" he said. He released her and took the knife. Then he walked to the sea. Kenji's spirit then said to him, "I am your servant. Do not send me away now. Did I do anything wrong to you?" Kenji laughed. "You didn't do anything wrong, but I do not need you," he answered. "The world is vast. Go where you want. But do not disturb me because my love is calling me." His spirit called him many times, but he did not listen. He then arrived on the beach and stood on the sand with his back to the moon. White arms reached out from the waves and beckoned him to come. His spirit said to him, "Do not send me away without a heart. The world is cold and unforgiving. Give me your heart." "How can I love my mermaid without a heart?" he cried. "Please," said his spirit, "give me your heart. The world is cruel and I am afraid." "My heart is with my love now," he answered. "Go away." "But I also need to love," said his spirit. "Go away. I do not need you," cried Kenji. He took the obsidian knife and sliced his reflection from his feet. The reflection rose up before him, and it was a perfect copy of Kenji. Kenji backed away slowly, his heart pounding with fear. "Go away," he murmured, "and never come back again." "No, but we must meet again," said the spirit. The spirit's voice was like the sound of a shakuhachi flute. "How will we meet?" cried Kenji. "Heart, will you follow me into the sea?" "Once every year I will come to this place and call you," said the spirit. "Perhaps you will need me." "I do not think I will need you," cried Kenji, "but you can call me. I can come here again." He walked into the water and the Ningyo played their shell harps. The little mermaid swam to meet him. She wrapped her arms around his neck and kissed him on the mouth. The spirit stood on the beach and watched them. And when they disappeared into the sea, Kenji's spirit turned and wept. Chapter 4. The Spirit's First Journey. After a year, the spirit returned to the sea and called Kenji. He emerged from the waves and said, "Why do you call me?" The spirit answered, "Come closer. I want to tell you about the marvelous things I have seen." So he came closer and sat in the shallows, listening. The spirit said to him, "When I left you, I journeyed to the west towards the setting sun. All knowledge comes from the west. After many weeks, I arrived in the land of the Mongols. One night I saw a fire in a yurt belonging to a group of nomadic traders. I approached them, and the Khan stood up and drew his scimitar. "Who are you?" he demanded. "I am a samurai who escaped from the clutches of the Oni," I replied. He bowed his head in respect and offered me his hand. Then we left the land of the Mongols and travelled through many strange lands, encountering many different people. I rode on a sturdy Mongolian horse alongside the Khan. There were 40 horses in our caravan and 80 yaks carrying our goods. During our journey, we fought with the tribe of the Amazons. They are a fierce tribe of women warriors who live in the mountains. We battled with the Yeti, creatures of immense strength and ferocity who inhabit the highest peaks. We also encountered the Garuda, mythical birdmen who soared through the skies on massive wings. In the 4th month, we arrived at the legendary city of Shambhala. It was night, and we waited for the dawn. That morning, we knocked at the gates of the city. The gates were made of orichalcum, a metal unknown to men, and adorned with carvings of phoenixes and dragons. A guard appeared and asked, "What is your business here?" "We are travellers from the islands of Japan, and we bring valuable goods to trade," we replied. "Then wait here until midday," he instructed. At midday, they opened the gates and we entered, making our way to the bustling marketplace. After a month in Shambhala, I grew restless. I wandered the streets of the city and came upon the temple of the oracle. The monks, clad in saffron robes, moved silently through the temple grounds. There was a magnificent golden stupa. This was the dwelling place of the oracle. The doors were carved with images of celestial beings and mythical beasts. There was a pool of crystal-clear water in front of the temple. I sat down beside it. One of the monks approached me and stood behind me. "What is your desire?" he inquired. "I wish to consult the oracle," I replied. The oracle is meditating in the mountains, said the monk, eyeing me suspiciously. Which mountains? Tell me, and I will go there, I insisted. He fingered the beads of his mala. The oracle is slumbering, he murmured. In which chamber? Tell me, and I will wait by the door, I demanded. The oracle is in a trance, he exclaimed. I will offer incense and prayers, I declared. He seemed surprised and led me into the temple. In the first chamber I saw a statue of a bodhisattva, crafted from sandalwood and as tall as a man. There was a diamond embedded in its forehead. Its feet were stained red with the juice of sacred berries. I asked the monk, "Is this the oracle?" "This is the oracle," he replied. "This is not the oracle." "Show me the true oracle," I cried, "or I will strike you down." I touched his hand and it withered and became frail. "Restore my hand and I will reveal the oracle to you," he pleaded. So I blew upon his hand and it regained its strength. He trembled and led me into the second chamber. There, I saw a statue of a dakini, sculpted from jade and twice the size of a man. It was adorned with rubies and sapphires. "Is this the oracle?" I questioned him. "This is the oracle," he answered. "This is not the oracle." "Show me the true oracle," I roared, "or I will blind you." I touched his eyes, and darkness fell upon them. "Please restore my sight. Then I will show you the oracle," he begged. So I breathed upon his eyes, and his vision returned. The monk, now filled with terror, led me into the third chamber. It was empty, save for a single scroll. I said to the monk, "Where is the oracle?" He replied, "There is no oracle, only this scroll of wisdom. It contains all the knowledge of the universe, past, present, and future. But it reveals nothing to the one who reads it without first emptying their mind. Thus, one can attain true wisdom. There are many other scrolls, but they are filled with mere opinions. This is the only scroll of wisdom. When you possess this scroll, you know everything. Therefore, it is the oracle, and we venerate it." I examined the scroll. The monk had spoken the truth. Then I did something extraordinary, but it is of little consequence now. I concealed the scroll in a hidden valley not far from here. We can reach it in 3 days. Allow me to re-enter your being and become your servant once more, and you will possess the wisdom of the ages. But Kenji laughed. "Love is greater than wisdom," he declared, "and the little mermaid loves me." "No, there is nothing greater than wisdom," insisted the spirit. "Love is greater," repeated Kenji. He returned to the sea and the spirit turned away, tears streaming down its face. Chapter 5. The Ring of Prosperity. After the second year, the spirit returned to the sea and called Kenji. He emerged from the waves and asked, "Why do you summon me?" The spirit answered, "Come closer. I have seen marvelous things, and I must tell you about them." So he approached and sat in the cool water listening intently. The spirit said, "When I left you, I journeyed to the south, where the sun blazes fiercely. All riches come from the south. I travelled for many weeks until I reached the fabled city of Angkor. I beheld the city on the morning of the 7th day. The city is a magnificent spectacle, a vibrant tapestry of life and commerce. Merchants display their wares on colourful silk mats. Some sell exotic spices from the islands of Indonesia and the fragrant oil of jasmine blossoms. Others offer exquisite jewellery, crafted with intricate designs and adorned with precious stones. The people sell all manner of fruits, juicy mangoes, sweet pineapples, fragrant durians, and plump rambutans. I saw a majestic elephant adorned with colourful fabrics. It paused to eat a bunch of bananas, and the people laughed and cheered. You cannot imagine how fascinating these people are. When they are joyful, they release colourful lanterns into the sky, their prayers and wishes carried on the wind. When they are sorrowful, they offer flowers and incense at the temples, seeking solace and peace. On the night of the full moon, the king emerged from his palace and proceeded to the temple to offer prayers. The people prostrated themselves before him, but I showed him no deference. That night, the king's guards came for me. They escorted me to the palace. We crossed a vast courtyard and entered a lush garden. At the end of the garden stood a magnificent pavilion. The captain of the guard instructed me to enter. The young king reclined on a divan draped with tiger skins, a bejeweled kris in his hand. A servant stood behind him, fanning him with a peacock feather fan. A gleaming katana lay on a table beside the divan. When the king saw me, he frowned and said, "Who are you? Do you not know that I am the ruler of this great city?" I remained silent. He gestured towards the katana, and the servant took it and struck me with all his might. I felt no pain. The servant, aghast, retreated in fear. The king then attempted to slay me with a spear, but it could not pierce my form. He tried to shoot me with an arrow, but I caught it in midair. The king exclaimed, "Why can I not harm you? Are you a deity or a celestial being? I implore you, leave my city tonight." "While you are here, I am not its true master," I replied. "Grant me half of your wealth, and I will depart." He took my hand and led me to a vast chamber. He touched a section of the wall, and it slid open, revealing a hidden passage. We walked down a long corridor. He uttered a magic word, and a massive stone door swung open. The king shielded his eyes from the dazzling brilliance of the jewels within. The sight was truly breathtaking. There were chests overflowing with gold coins, glittering diamonds, and enormous sapphires. The king declared, "This is my treasury, and half of it is yours. But you must leave tonight. Surya, the sun god, must not witness this. I cannot slay a man within my city." I replied, "I have no need for your gold or jewels. I desire only your ring." The king's brow furrowed. "It is but a simple ring of iron," he protested, "and it holds no value. Take your half of the treasure and leave my city at once." "No," I insisted. "I know that it is the ring of prosperity." The king trembled and said, "Take all the treasure, I beg you, and depart from my city. You may even have the other half of my wealth." Then I did something quite remarkable, but it matters little now. What is important is that I hid the ring of prosperity in a secret cave. You can reach it in a single day's journey. The possessor of this ring will become wealthier than all the kings of the earth. But Kenji laughed. "Love is more valuable than riches," he declared. "And the little mermaid loves me." "No, nothing is more valuable than riches," countered the spirit. "Love is more valuable," repeated Kenji. He returned to the sea, and the spirit turned away, weeping bitterly. Chapter 6. The Spirit's Third Journey. After the 3rd year, the spirit returned to the sea and called Kenji. He emerged from the waves and asked, "Why do you call me?" The spirit answered, "Come closer. I have seen marvelous things, and I must share them with you." So he approached and sat in the water, listening patiently. The spirit said, "I came upon a tea house by a river in a bustling city. I sat among the patrons, and they ordered tea and sweets. After a while, an old woman entered, carrying a silk cloth and a biwa, a traditional lute. She spread the cloth on the floor. As she played the biwa, a young woman appeared and began to dance. Her face was veiled, and she wore no shoes. Her feet moved gracefully upon the silk cloth like white butterflies flitting across a flower. It was a sight of exquisite beauty, and it is but a day's journey from here. Kenji's heart stirred as he listened. He remembered that the little mermaid had no feet and could not dance. He thought, "It is only a day away, and then I can return to my love." He smiled, rose from the water, and walked towards the shore. When he reached the beach, his spirit rushed towards him and re-entered his being. Then Kenji saw upon the sand the shadow of his body, the form of his spirit. They began their journey, and the following evening they arrived at a city. Kenji asked his spirit, "Does she dance in this city?" His spirit replied, "Not in this city, but in another." "Let us enter this city nonetheless." So they entered and walked through the streets. Kenji noticed a beautiful porcelain vase displayed on a stall in the potter's quarter. His spirit whispered, "Take that vase and conceal it." So he took the vase and hid it, and they quickly left the city. Once they were far from the city, Kenji threw the vase away. He said to his spirit, it was wrong to take the vase and hide it. But his spirit replied, "Be calm, be calm." On the evening of the second day, they arrived at another city. Kenji asked his spirit, "Does she dance in this city?" His spirit answered, "Not in this city, but in another." "Let us enter this city as well." So they entered and walked through the streets. In the market of the silk weavers, Kenji saw an old beggar woman. His spirit whispered, "Strike that old woman." So he struck the old woman, and she cried out in pain, and then they quickly left the city. When they were far from the city, Kenji became angry and said to his spirit, it was cruel to strike the old woman. But his spirit replied, "Be calm, be calm." On the evening of the third day, they arrived at yet another city. Kenji asked his spirit, "Does she dance in this city?" His spirit answered, "Perhaps this is the city. Let us enter." They walked through the streets, but Kenji could not find the tea house by the river. He wanted to leave, but his spirit said, "Let us stay here tonight. There may be bandits on the road." So Kenji sat down in the marketplace. After a while, a kind old man approached him and asked, "Why are you here? The market is closed." Kenji replied, "I cannot find lodging in this city. I have no family here, and I need a place to rest for the night." "We are all part of the same family," said the old man, "and the Buddha created us all. Come with me. I have a spare room." Kenji followed the old man to his home. The old man offered him a delicious meal and a comfortable bed. Kenji then went to sleep. After 3 hours, his spirit woke him and said, "Go to the old man's room and kill him, and take his gold." Kenji went to the old man's room. There was a wakizashi, a short sword, near his bed, and a small chest beside it. When he reached for the wakizashi, the old man woke up and said, "Why do you wish to harm me? I offered you food and shelter. I showed you kindness." His spirit urged him, "Strike him." So he struck the old man and he fell unconscious. Kenji then took the chest and they quickly left the city. When they were far from the city, Kenji said to his spirit, it was wicked to strike the old man and steal his chest. But his spirit replied, "Be calm, be calm." "No," cried Kenji, "I cannot be calm. You have led me to commit terrible acts, and I despise them. I despise you as well. Why have you done this to me?" His spirit answered, "When you cast me out into the world, you did not give me a heart. So I learned to embrace these acts and find pleasure in them." "What are you saying?" Kenji murmured, his voice filled with confusion. "You know," replied his spirit. You did not give me a heart, so be calm. You will inflict pain upon others, and you will experience pleasure in return. Kenji said to his spirit, No, you are evil, and because of you, I have forgotten my love and committed terrible deeds. His spirit countered, You did not forget that you sent me away without a heart. Let us go to another city and revel in life together. We have the old man's chest. But Kenji took the chest and threw it to the ground. No, I will not go with you, and I will cast you out once more, he declared. He turned his back to the moon. With the obsidian knife, he tried to sever his reflection from his feet, hoping to banish his spirit. But his spirit would not leave him, and it said, The Miko's magic will not work again. It can only be performed once in a man's lifetime. I will remain with you forever, and this is your punishment and your reward. Kenji despaired and wept, for his spirit was truly wicked. When dawn broke, Kenji said to his spirit, I will bind my hands together. Then I cannot do as you bid me. I will return to the bay where my love sings. I will call her. I will confess to her the terrible things I have done and the terrible things you have made me do. When he arrived at the beach, he untied his hands and called out to the mermaid. But she did not come. His spirit mocked him, saying, Your love brings you little joy. Come with me to the Valley of Pleasure, or it is a far better place for you. Kenji did not answer his spirit. He built a small hut by the bay and lived there for a year. Every morning he called out to the mermaid, and every midday he called her again, and at night he whispered her name. But she never appeared, and he saw her nowhere. His spirit constantly urged him to commit wicked deeds. But Kenji never listened, for the power of his love was too strong. Chapter 7. Love. After another year, the spirit thought, I have tempted him with evil, and his love has proven stronger. I will now tempt him with good, and perhaps he will finally yield. So he spoke to Kenji, saying, I have shown you the joys of the world, and you have rejected them. Now I will show you the suffering in the world, and perhaps you will listen. Pain is the master of this world, and no one can escape it. Some people lack clothing, others lack food, and still others are afflicted with illness. Come, let us go and help these people. Why do you linger here waiting for your love? What is love? Why do you believe it is so important? But Kenji did not answer. The power of his love was absolute. Every morning he called out to the mermaid, and every midday he called her again, and at night he whispered her name. But she never appeared, and he saw her nowhere. After the second year, the spirit said to Kenji, I have tempted you with evil, and I have tempted you with good, and your love has triumphed over all. So, I will tempt you no more. But may I please enter your heart and be with you once more? Yes, you may enter, said Kenji. I believe you have suffered greatly without a heart, but I can find no way to enter, for your heart is overflowing with love. There is no room for me, cried the spirit. I am truly sorry, said Kenji. Just then they heard a heart-wrenching cry of sorrow from the sea. Kenji rushed to the shore. The waves crashed violently against the beach. They carried something whiter than the snow on Mount Fuji. There at his feet, Kenji saw the lifeless body of the little mermaid. He sank to his knees beside her and kissed her cold lips. He told the dead mermaid about his spirit and all the terrible things he had done. He placed her small hands around his neck and caressed her cheek with his fingers. His joy was bittersweet, and his pain was filled with a strange happiness. The dark sea surged closer and closer. Flee, urged his spirit. The sea is rising and it will consume you. Go, Elmore, it will kill you. Find safety elsewhere. But please, I beg you, do not send me back into the world without a heart. But Kenji did not heed his spirit's pleas. He said to the little mermaid, "Love is greater than wisdom, more precious than riches, and more beautiful than the feet of the daughters of men. I called to you in the morning, but you did not come. The moon heard your name, but you did not answer. I was wicked when I abandoned you. But your love remained with me always, and it was stronger than both good and evil. And now that you are dead, I will die with you." His spirit implored him to leave, but his love was too great, and he would not listen. The sea surged forward, attempting to engulf him in its embrace. When he knew that the end was near, Kenji kissed the mermaid's cold lips, and his heart shattered. It shattered because it was overflowing with love. Then, at last, the spirit found its way into his heart, and the sea claimed Kenji and the little mermaid, drawing them into its depths. Chapter 8. The Potter's Field. In the morning, the Shinto priest declared, "I will go and purify the sea, for it was restless last night." Monks, musicians, and many other people accompanied him. When the priest reached the shore, he saw Kenji's body. He lay lifeless in the shallows, the little mermaid's body cradled in his arms. The priest frowned and said, "I will not purify the sea or anything within it. This young man forsook Amaterasu for love, and the divine punishment has claimed both him and his beloved. Take his body and the body of the mermaid and bury them in the far corner of the potter's field. Place no marker upon their grave." The people carried the bodies to a deep pit in the corner of the potter's field. They covered the pit with earth. No flowers bloomed there. 3 years later, on a festival day, the priest went to the shrine to speak to the people about the wrath of the kami. As he approached the altar, he noticed strange flowers adorning it. Their ethereal beauty captivated him, and their fragrance was intoxicating. He felt an unexpected joy, and he could not understand why. He had intended to speak to them about the wrath of the kami. But the beauty of the white flowers mesmerized him, and their fragrance filled him with a sense of peace. He did not speak of the wrath of the kami. He spoke of the compassion of the Buddha, and he did not know why he spoke these words. When he finished speaking, the people wept, and his own eyes were filled with tears. As if in a dream, he asked his acolytes, "What are these flowers upon the altar? Where did they come from?" They replied, "We do not know their name, but they were found growing in the corner of the potter's field." The priest trembled and returned to his home to meditate. Early the next morning, he left his home with monks, musicians, and many other people. He walked to the shore and purified the sea and all the creatures within it. He also purified the Kodama and the Ningyo and all the spirits that dwelled in the forest. He purified all things in the world created by the Buddha, and the people were filled with joy. But the people of the sea retreated to the deepest ocean trenches, and they never returned to the shores of Okinawa again. The end.